So my wet palette has gotten a little dirty to the point where I felt like refreshing it, so I thought I would make a video kind of showing how I've been utilizing a wet palette and how I made mine and how you can make one as well. I learned how to do this from Adam's channel at Tabletop Minions. Great channel, I'll try to link to that. But in particular, this is the way I've been doing it. It was actually a lot cheaper than I expected it to be. So this is a generic basic palette I got from a used art supply store, and it was about $2 for that. The cool thing is that it comes with a trough. I was actually shopping around at thrift stores trying to find a plate. I've never seen a paint palette in this configuration before for whatever reason. It's almost as if they manufactured it to be converted to a wet palette, so it's really cool. Anyway, so that's the base. What I'm doing is I decided to replace the paper towel sponge in mine because I poked a hole through my parchment paper and the paint sinked down into the paper towel, so then it kind of made it hard to, at a glance, for me to see where my actual paint was that I was using as you're bouncing back and forth. So I like to have it be clean to the eye. So all I do is take some paper towel, and I like to make the sponge layer very thick so that it can hold a lot of water. I'm using 5 layers of 2-ply. So I'm gonna measure out roughly the length and just tear away what I need and put that into my palette like that. And I'm just gonna pour some water on top. And yeah, if you don't already know the benefits of a wet palette, like I said, check out Adam's channel at Tabletop Minions. I'll try to link to the video in particular. And I will just say, yeah, it basically keeps a very light amount of moisture blended into your paint so that it can be used for a longer span. But it also, I feel like it, particularly with layer paints, like thinner paints, it keeps them thin longer. So I haven't had to add as much water as I normally would. So here's the parchment I've been using. So this was, I don't know, paper towels, probably $1 a roll if you want. And then there's parchment. This was actually probably $5, but this will probably last for the rest of my life. And then cut a little square. I've already kind of figured out my sweet spot as far as size. I like the parchment piece to be smaller than the paper towel section, so that when I add more water, I've got a channel. Because it's annoying when I'm trying to add more water on the side and I accidentally splash it all over, like my paints or what have you, or it gets in my way. So you don't want too much water in your paint. Anyhow, so then I'm just adding water, and I usually keep it pretty wet, and I guess that's it. That's all there really is to say. Now I've got a nice new clean wet palette surface to work with, and I'll stop trying to dip my brush into stains that are underneath. Total cost was probably about a $10 investment, honestly, altogether with the parchment. If you already have parchment, then boom. If you already have paper towels, boom. Boom. I got one more little note. If you don't end up using your wet palette for a few days, try and add water to it at least once a day. And also you could cover it up with a Tupperware bin, because little particles of like fibers of tissue and stuff floating in the air, I might not see it on the palette, but when I paint it onto the miniature, I can see it. So if you might want to check out the video I did about covering your miniatures with something like a Sterilite bin to keep dust and grease off of them. Thanks for watching.